I went to the world for answers. Like, what do you do about this? How can I that? Well, what do you do? Well, what do you think? And it's like I found answers inside. There was a moment it became so clear to me.
Welcome to the Well Woman Show, where motivated women achieve fulfillment and well-being.
You're listening to the Well Woman Show.
You're listening to the Well Woman Show.
You're going to be in for a good ride.
I'm a woman. I would prefer to tell my own story. My story, though it's very personal, is universal.
You're listening to the Well Woman Show. And now your host, Giovanna Rossi.
Hi, Giovanna Rossi here, and welcome to another episode of the Well Woman Show, where I interview women leaders, executives, and entrepreneurs about their lives and their road to becoming and being who they are today. Are you at the top of your game professionally, but feeling burned out, or finding it hard to focus on your goals, or unfulfilled personally? Or are you in transition, simply juggling so many things you find it hard to take care of your own needs? Well, you're not alone. We all need to activate the 4 universal superpowers. These are the internal strengths and abilities we all already have, but don't use all the time. Superpowers can be cultivated, and they include awareness, intuition, action, and acceptance. Toward the end of the show, in a segment called Superpowers for Success, I ask my guest about her superpowers, and the answers will give you the strength, perspective, and power to live a well woman life. I'm so happy you're here, so thanks for tuning in. Today's topic is how to identify and question the stressful thoughts that cause all of our stress, and hopefully by the end of the show, you'll be inspired to question the things that cause your suffering and have the knowledge and power to dismantle these stressful thoughts and gain freedom of mind. My guest today is Byron Katie, the founder of The Work, a simple yet powerful process of inquiry that teaches how to identify and question the stressful thoughts that cause all of our stress. In this episode, Katie and I talk about how to cultivate a practice of questioning and how to use the 4 simple questions to practice the work. This interview is from a visit that I had with Byron Katie 2 years ago. I went to a retreat in California and sat down with her for the interview, and I'm rerunning it today because it's been so powerful for so many of the listeners, and I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to hear it. Also, please join us after the show in the Well Woman Life community group on Facebook, wellwomanlife.com/Facebook, and we can continue the conversation over there. And if you're interested in our events, we have a program coming up to register for, and we also have the retreat coming up. Head over to wellwomanlife.com/events to learn more. I'm speaking with Byron Katie this morning. Welcome to the program, Byron.
Oh, thank you, Giovanni.
So I just want to sort of jump right in and have a discussion about you and about the work. And I wanted to start with a quote from Loving What Is. And you say, "Go inside and find your own happiness to experience what already exists within you, unchanging, immovable, ever present, ever waiting. No teacher is necessary. You are the teacher you've been waiting for." What do you mean by that? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I went to the world for answers. Like, what do you do about this? How can I that? Well, what do you do? Well, what do you think? And it was a lot of depression in the end for me specifically. And what do I mean by, what you just asked me? It's like I found answers inside. There was a moment it became so clear to me to just question everything I believed about my life, other people's lives, what I thought about other people, to question what is running through my head. And all of a sudden, everything shifted. It shifted dramatically. But every time I would question my assumptions, the things I was so sure were true, it would turn around. It would flip and show me a world that I had no access to otherwise. So that's what I do. I invite people to above all else, question what you think, to continue to question what you think.
And that is really hard. to always be doing that. And so that's why you have these 4 easy questions that sort of guide people. So can you walk us through those?
Yes. And the reason for the questions, it really is a practice. It's something that we just get very still and sit in and just even meditate on. And it is a practice until these questions become obvious. For example, if I had the truth, he betrayed me. And maybe I had that thought maybe 30 years ago. Maybe it was last week. Maybe it was 40 years ago. It doesn't matter in time. And if it's still occurring to me and it still is taking my attention in the slightest negative tone to it, then I would question it. So I would go back, just mindfully go back to that time and place where I was really passionately believing it, that place and time. And I would just stay there and say, he betrayed me. Close my eyes, get still, and ask, is it true? That's the first question. And then the second question, can I absolutely know it's true? He betrayed me. And then I meditate on that and I stay there and those images show me. I don't have to do the work. Really, I ask and it does me. So I'm just witnessing. Can I absolutely know? I was so positive. We even broke up over it. My life was ruined over it. And now I'm asking me what I was so sure of. Okay, can I absolutely know that it's true he betrayed me? And maybe the answer is still yes, I'm shown that. And then whether it's yes or no, I move to the third question. And like you say, Giovanni, there are only 4 questions. So I move to the third one. And I notice in that situation how I reacted. What happened when I believed that thought? And I see how hurt I was and how it affected my life, how it colored everything. And then I go to the 4th question. After witnessing that, and a lot of tears, we experience a lot of things we thought we didn't want to see, but a lot of things that really heal us from the past in that 3rd question. So after witnessing that, I go to the 4th question. Who or what would I be in that situation, in that time and place? Who or what would I be without the thought he betrayed me? And, as I look into your eyes and see right now, it feels so intimate. But, it's a whole new, it's colored completely differently. I see him defending. I see him upset. I see he doesn't want to lose me. I see that, I see things in this moment now that I did not see then. And then I invite people to, when they have said in that, meditated on that, I move to the turnarounds. He betrayed me. Turned around, I betrayed him. That's an opposite of what I was believing. And then it's like my heart, when I found that, when my heart just sunk. And of course, I found it many years ago when the work found me, but I love sharing it today. I betrayed him, and I just sit there and just see the ways I betrayed him. From little tiny things that I thought didn't matter at the time, and I just sit in our lives together when I was believing that, and then how it cost me that relationship. And then another turnaround. Is there another turnaround? He betrayed me. Okay, let's see. I betrayed me. I betrayed me. And so I just, with my eyes closed, sit in that and see in that situation how I betrayed me. And this work is for the brave and the bold, but I don't know another way to free myself, because every time I think of him today, I just, and for my life since I questioned it and set in what I'm inviting people to sit in right now in this interview, I think of him with such love and connection. And so that is a past that when it hits my head, those images hit my head, those thoughts and images of that past hit my head, I feel delight in and completion in and at peace with, as opposed to hurt and wounded, and allow that to, and it ceases to color my life. So, and also anytime I think the thought, someone's betraying me, I have to kind of giggle and laugh. It's like, well, I'll consider that later when I have time to sit down with it, because I know the mind so well. So that's the work. Judge your neighbor, write it down, ask 4 questions, and turn it around. And it is a practice.
And you say it's for the brave and bold. What if you're not feeling brave and bold?
Then I would just be as gentle and just as you possibly could with yourself. We're tender and we're hurt, like something like that. I wouldn't push myself into. I'd be ready just to sit in and just ask the question and be gentle with what I could handle.
And it's called The Work, and it's interesting that you named it that, because it is work. It's absolutely work. You have to focus on it and really do this in order to get to the other side.
Yeah, it takes a willingness. Anyone with an open mind can do this work, but that is the requirement. For some of us, we have to be tired of the pain. For some of us, we need to have tried everything else, maybe. And I know in my life I had. And then for some of us, we're just curious and we just want to know the truth. We don't have to hurt and be miserable to do this work. It's we never know what we're going to find in it, and it's fabulous from one end to the other. It's I wouldn't leave home without it.
Well, Katie, you say I'm a lover of what is, not because I'm a spiritual person. And do you consider yourself a spiritual person?
Well, that would be by each of us individually, how we define that, how we define the word spiritual. But for me, the absence of suffering, that's it.
That's what?
The absence of suffering, life without suffering, there are many people. I know that rather than speak for other people, I wouldn't be able to imagine such a life. I thought I had to die to end suffering. And I was very depressed, of course. And so that's how it seemed to me. So that was it, just the absence of suffering. And I found something much better than just non-suffering.
And so have you suffered since then?
I'd have to honestly tell you no. And I realize unless someone asks me directly and in my face that question, it's not something I would ever say. And for one thing, I don't know the future. For all I know, after 30 years of peace, I don't know the future, but I can tell you I look forward to it, whatever it is. With life, I love it. And I just say, bring it on, bring it on. And it's so exciting not to know what's going to happen and to have my arms wide open to it rather than to fear it.
And so you've maintained this for 30 years. As you say, you don't know what's going to happen in the future, but you've maintained this non-suffering for 30 years. I'm very interested to know how you maintain that, because to me, it's a journey, and we go in and out and back and forth of being able to reach that. But you seem to have figured it out.
Well, I didn't say I stopped doing the work. I do the work all over the world with people and one-on-one, so I'm always in inquiry. Also, I love just sitting in myself, every morning at least. So I'm prepared for life, and who knows how much suffering. That's why I keep saying, it's a practice. Who knows what suffering I was up for if I had not just really taken this on as a practice and meditating on these moments in time.
Yeah, I think you've really just hit the nail on the head there, which is, if we don't continue the practice, whatever the practice is, whether it's the work or something else, whatever people are doing, if we don't continue it and we sort of think, oh, I figured it out, I've arrived, and then you forget to keep practicing, you kind of wind up back, you could wind up back where you started.
Well, if I had the thought, I figured it out, I may want to question that.
To have such a loving acceptance of what is amazing. I mean, I think that's why you say you have no suffering, because you're embracing anything that happens and anything that is. And so if I know, you've had, people pass away in your life and things. How have you handled those kinds of things?
I'm just not at war with life. And again, my mind and heart, when your mind's open, your heart's open. So I just meet it all with whatever is there authentically, without pretending, no hiding. just I get to watch my life as it unfolds, as it happens. So I think I don't know which one of my books, but I have a lot of life experiences that I talk about, and I have a new book coming out. It's the mind at home with itself, and it was so much fun to do. And it's I talk a lot more about my experiences in inquiry and life, and and how the work has changed my life.
Okay, we'll link to that for sure in the show notes to the upcoming book. And, Katie, I sometimes joke that I reluctantly read your book because I actually picked it up at a book exchange sort of yard sale thing. And I picked it up and looked at it and put it back down and said, oh, I don't need to read that right now. And I went upstairs to my apartment and I opened my bag and there was that book and your face looking up at me.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm very happy if that helped bring us together. Then whatever happened there, I certainly am grateful.
Somehow, obviously, I put the book in my bag and I did read it. And this was about 14 years ago. And it was truly an amazing experience. I think that somehow I was ready to read that. Do you sometimes think that people are in a place to receive information and other times you're not?
I do. And also, I've heard many stories like that. I've heard people say they've tried to read it and they throw it against the wall, and then 3 months later they pick it up again and they throw it against the wall or buy it again. I think, well, I give it away and think, well, I better get the book again. It's not an easy read. It's for people whose minds are open to the absence of war, the ultimate end of war. And so I understand. Yeah. I fought the good fight, if you could call it the good fight, for 43 years. And then the work found me and it found me inside. And the shift was so radical that people noticed. And then I began to show them what I found.
Yeah. And that's how it happened for you. Yeah. I think that it really, it supports people to go very deep and very honest. You can't actually really get through the book without getting really honest with yourself and really facing a lot of those fears that have been such prisons all of our lives.
Yeah. But another thing about the book, it doesn't leave us alone. It stays with us and it holds us all the way. So it's you're talking about loving what is, right? Yeah, loving what is. And also, I Need Your Love. Is that true? It's a radical book for relationships, the relationship with yourself and others. And then the new one coming out. And I know one of the most popular ones is, I don't even know if that's true, but 1,000 Names for Joy. People love that.
I'm speaking with Byron Katie, and we'll be right back. Okay, Fearless Well Women. You did the 7-week challenge with me, or you saw a bunch of us doing it, and I know you were interested and it piqued your curiosity. And so I want to ask you a few questions. Do you want to work on your goals and not other people's? Do you want to feel in charge of your journey, not like a bystander? Do you want to say all the things you've been keeping silent, or do all the things you've been waiting for permission for? Do you want to come out of hiding and be you beautifully, passionately, and purposefully? This is what Fearless Week was all about. And we're opening up a program called Be Seen, Be Heard, which incorporates all of this into one 6-week feminist and mindfulness-based program to get you results in income, intimacy, and impact. So whatever it is you're trying to do, if you want more confidence and less self-doubt, clarity around the results you want to create in your life, a roadmap with exact steps to get there, and an understanding of how patriarchal systems have suppressed your ability to be seen and be heard. We're going to use mindfulness to cut through the noise in your internal and external environments in order to get you the results that you want and get you seen and heard. So join me June 19th to July 30th. Go to wellwomanlife.com/be seen, be heard. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the program. This episode of The Well Woman Show is brought to you by Collective Action Strategies, supporting organizations that support women and families, and by Well Woman Life Movement Challenge Quiz, your resource for living your best life. If you're in burnout or major transition, this is your time to figure out what's holding you back from making the changes you need to make in order to live your fullest, most joyful life. The cause of all of our challenges, personal or professional, can actually be rooted in the lack of internal superpowers and or external supports. Our Well Woman Life framework tells you which stage of the Well Woman life cycle you're in and what to do about it so you can truly live your best life. You can find out more at wellwomanlife.com/quiz. I'm so thankful for support from Natural Awakenings magazine in New Mexico, a monthly green, healthy lifestyle publication, and for support from High Desert Yoga, promoting optimum physical health, clarity of mind, and spiritual inspiration for all. We're back with Byron Katie on The Well Woman Show. And on The Well Woman Show, I always ask my guests a few quick questions about how you view life now after you've produced all of what you have in the world. And the first question is, what does success in life mean for you?
Just being happy in my life. That's the ultimate success for me. And in that, I'm freed up to just live a life of, how can I help and availability. And whether I'm alone or with people, there's always something to contribute.
And when did you know, when was the moment when you quietly knew within yourself that you were really good at what you do?
When people, rather than good at what I do, I'd say I'm just simply authentic. And I think that's always an expansion of even saying, just authenticity. That's basically all I'm interested in, is not being fake news.
And so what does authenticity look like or mean?
No fake news. In fact, when we take assumptions out of our head, if we look at the 4 questions and turnarounds, as we just experienced with he betrayed me. I was really believing it and acting out of that. And it was fake news. It wasn't all the news. It was only one-sided. I betrayed him. I betrayed myself. And I could find many ways that he was completely loyal. And that was painful to sit in all those years ago. And so I have a very open mind, and I invite people to their own authenticity. It's just waiting to show itself. These questions are a way of inviting it up.
Yeah, I love that it's already there within us, because I say that a lot with my Well Woman community, that we have these superpowers that are already inside of us, and we just have to activate them. They're there.
Yes, to ask, just ask. And we're just flooded with it. He betrayed me. Is it true? Or there's something wrong with me. Or it's not fair. Life isn't fair. Or, any of those things that run through our heads. And just to identify them and just sit and get really quiet and ask, is it true? And the work, these questions are always free on thework.com. So I want everyone to know that it's there if you ever think you need it or want it.
I just want to pick up on something you just said, because I think we're so attached to the answer that we're telling ourselves that it's hard to let that go and really ask, is this true? And get to the root of it, because we're so attached. Our whole identity sometimes is wrapped up in that being, the story that we've been telling ourselves.
And identity doesn't fall away until we question it. And then when we see what's true, identity shifts and we're no longer the person we were. And it becomes addictive. It's like the ultimate addiction, the mind's addiction to itself. Well, inquiry, it wakes us up from that, I was going to say the dream, for some of us, the nightmare.
A couple more questions for the segment here on superpowers. And the next one is, what superpower did you discover you had only to realize it was there all the time?
The ability to love. The ability to love without reservation. And to realize that just because in my world, it seems I love everyone, to realize that I don't have to take everyone home with me or have tea or lunch. It's not like because what I'm thinking and believing about people, that's inside of me. And I take those people everywhere with me, and to love them, everyone that peoples my head. And so I'm in love with everything I think, it seems. And so I'm in love with everyone I see and everything I see. And I would simply say, I love life. I love life.
That's clear, and it really shows. Katie, what advice would you give your 25-year-old self?
She wouldn't listen. What advice would I give my 25-year-old? As I think of her, she didn't have the ability to listen. Her mind was so full of, I know. So I would not burden her with that. And I would just wait until she's ready.
Love that. Do you identify as a feminist?
Your definition of feminist, what is that? I'm a woman. I'm a human being first. And I love putting on lipstick and dressing and this amazing thing to look in the mirror and even love that. And, it's just not personal, just to love the one in the mirror. If you're going to love the world, you may as well include yourself in it, as it turns out. But yeah.
I define feminism on this show as equality in social, political, and economic spaces.
Absolutely. And if women, we are not there equally, then we're in what I would say simply as a fearful state of mind. And inquiry has shifted that for me. I mean, there's nothing would stop us as women. There's nothing that would stop us in our life if we were not fearful. So to identify anything that I'm thinking and believing that would not give me equal rights in my life, I would question it. I would definitely question it.
And you've just made me think of one other thing I want to ask you, which is, what do you tell people who are incredibly fearful right now and angry and feeling like they don't have any power over the social and political situation in our country and in the world?
To love what is different than accepting what is. And I can see how it would be the same. And even maybe it is, depending on how we're thinking of that. But to love what is to see things clearly out of a balanced state of mind. And from there, we fearlessly change. Just, when we get clear, we don't get stupid. We get clear. And in that clarity, it is so simple to see what we can do to make change. And there's no fear to stop us. It's, freedom is our birthright.
I love that. Last question, to wrap it up. What are you reading right now? What's on your nightstand?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I just have to admit it. Stephen reads me to sleep every night. Oh my goodness. And he is just a connoisseur of just the greatest literature in the world and translate and write some of it himself. But his voice and his taste and what he reads to me it's just, oh my gosh. So he is what is near my, what did you say? My nightstand. He's on the other side. I'm in the middle. I'm between the two.
I love that. That is the sweetest thing I've heard in a really long time.
It is really sweet. I can see his sweet face right now as we talk. I'm so smitten.
How long have you been together?
Well, we've been married 17 years, and I'm blessed.
Byron Katie, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you today.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's been so much fun sitting with you. Great questions.
That's it for our show today. Remember, if you need support to live your Well Woman life, head over to wellwomanlife.com/Facebook to join us. Our monthly live event, Well Woman Drinks, brings women together to share our successes and challenges as women, leaders, moms, aunts, sisters, and all the other roles we carry. If you'd like to attend a Well Woman Drinks near you, or if there isn't one in your city yet and you'd like to start one, email info@wellwomanlife.com. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment and subscribe in iTunes and leave a review. This helps raise visibility, which is super helpful when it comes to producing the show every week. For feedback, comments, or just to let me know you were listening today, find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @WellWomanLife. I'm Giovanna Rossi for The Well Woman Show. Until next time, have a super powerful week.